I got a piece of paper. It was called a diploma. Then I went to college in 23. I got another piece of paper. It was called a bachelor's degree. And now, in 2025, I still don't have a job. Welcome to the Triple Take. I'm Manny.
I'm Frank.
I'm Joseph.
And today, we will be talking about the struggles of finding a job post-graduation. I want to say this as a disclaimer before we start anything. Will I be upset this episode? Yes. Will I say some curse words? Yes. Will I probably piss somebody off? Yes. But at the end of the day, this is Triple Take, where all takes are not judged and are given equal representation.
Okay, a little cap on that part. But continue.
So,
Stop the cap.
without giving too much information away, I do have a job, but it is not the job that my career was supposed to be headed towards.
So you have a job, not a career.
I have a job, not a career.
Yeah.
Very good, Frank. Way to catch on to the words.
Gotcha.
Plus 100 points.
Plus 100 points.
Am I finally going to win a Jeopardy?
No.
The only time I win is when I'm hosting it. I always win.
All right. Now, I'll be honest with you. I went into my college, university, and I had gotten my degree in integrated business. And my hope was that within a year to 2 years, I would be able to find a career so that way I could grow and develop myself and my career so that way I can go on to bigger and better opportunities, you know? But it seems nowadays when it comes to 2025, this generation, it is extremely hard to get into the corporate world and develop into a position that will allow you to have the things that you value. Now, if you're one of those people that value family or value that they want their own spot or something of that nature, I don't want to downplay the olden times, but I'm going to say it outright, and you could off if you disagree. But it is way harder nowadays to find a career than it was back in the 80s, the 90s, and the 2000s. That is my opinion. Because nowadays, corporations want experienced, young, motivated people. Did you hear the first word I just said? Experience. Because it seems that word is very, 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 very heavy when it comes to jobs nowadays or careers. Because how do you expect, and this is to all the corporations out there in the world that do this, and you know who you are. Don't pretend like you don't know who the you are. You want experience out of college, but you're not willing to give that young man or young woman the opportunity to get some experience in your company. So how the hell are you going to find an experienced, young, motivated individual out of college with a degree if there's no place to start? And that's not, that is something that I am struggling with now. And some people, some wannabe or some will be like, why didn't you just get an internship? You could have started there and then you could have worked your way up. Those internships nowadays want experienced people because they just want to not pay for free labor. Guess what? I tried the internship route and I was getting ripped. This dude was making a lot of money off me and I was getting no pay from it, no commission, no nothing. This guy basically had my ass and I was out money for him.
That's gotta be the craziest monologue
It's a cold
ever,
world. No, it's a cold world. It is a cold world. And in my opinion, yes, it is extremely hard nowadays to find a career. Is it easy to find a job? Hell yeah, it is. People are just lazy.
I mean, nowadays it's a little harder to even find a job. So
no, it is harder, but I'm just saying that even though it is harder, people
it's
are
definitely
just
easier than getting a career. Yeah.
People are still lazy to the fact that they
100%.
don't want to put in the work in the job. You know what I'm saying? And then when you're inside of those jobs, you're because this is the other argument people make, why not grow in that job area? What if you're not given the opportunity to?
I'm letting you cook, man. I'm letting you cook.
What if you've been working there for a very long amount of time and they're not willing to give you that opportunity because they look for experience? How are you going to get experience? It's very hard and it's very contradictory. It's upsetting because as a person who wants to create his own business, I would like to give these young people an opportunity to do something with their life. Whether it's with my company or not, giving the youth the opportunity to develop themselves inside of my business would help them flourish in the future. Everybody's just thinking about themselves and not thinking about how they can help the little guy, how they can help that younger kid become something bigger. That's what corporations do nowadays. They look for them. They look for the who I can squeeze, just wrench the greatest amount of money and hard work out. And to me, it is extremely upsetting.
So, opposed to Manny and Frank, I didn't necessarily start school at the same time. Because as soon as I got that piece of paper called the diploma in 2017, I said, you're not going to college. You're going to the streets. Because consequently, I ended up homeless. Life is life. So, obviously, I kind of pushed plans a little bit back. And, not to say that I don't necessarily think not everyone should go to college right after high school. At least I would recommend, given my experience, to one, not be homeless, because that sucks. But to at least take a year to kind of just grow up as a person, right? Because even going through the stuff I went through, at least I'm grateful in the sense that I grew up. The greatest teacher in life is struggle. It is suffering. And it sucks, especially if you want to move forward in life. The way the world is in the job market and the economy. Or me just working a simple retail job, which not even taking account like COVID. Because before that, I did have a career doing production work to a degree. And COVID happened and it kind of ripped that and killed that. And it sucks. So then have to be like, okay, what do I got to do to just simply survive? Right? And that's where I ended up in retail. And it sucks in the sense that, obviously, I know I'm capable of doing a lot. And with how the job market is and has been for the past few years, it it definitely feels like working these jobs that we don't like. Obviously, we have our own aspirations, our own dreams, but just to simply get by, you got to start somewhere. And it sucks in the sense that whatever that start may be, the way the industry, the way the economy, the way the world is currently structured, that starting place is essentially a barbed hook that keeps you in place. And you have to sacrifice, you have to fight tooth and nail for certain jobs that you are just a simple associate ID number opposed to an actual person. And it's very degrading to then be like, oh, you barely get paid jack anything. Even to the people that do get out of college, go to school, do the whole 9 yards, to then get into their actual career, to then, you would hope you start making money. No. They give you well beneath what you should be making just starting. And then you gotta have experience to just get a job. Even just working a simple retail or whatever job, they ask for experience. Major corporations asking for experience. They don't want experienced workers. The mentality is that they want indoctrinated people. They want people with no mind of their own. They want you just simply work and ask for more, but give you nothing. All we're giving you an opportunity to get experience. To what end? You know what I mean? To what end you're going to put someone through? Yeah, sure. Life gives you experience. Life refines you. At a certain point, for the most part, the way things are structured right now, it doesn't necessarily refine a person. It really breaks a person. And it sucks. And I hate to say, just simply saying, just keep holding on, it gets better, which sure, eventually, yeah. But sometimes that wait is degrading. And my mentality is shifted more towards trying to look for an opportunity to now making one. Because in this world, in this day and age, I personally believe the greatest opportunity an individual has is within themselves. The greatest career choice you have is yourself. And it sucks. Because sometimes your dream job is to work for a certain company. And I've had people that, let's say their dream job was to work at Disney or be a part of some Disney thing. And some nuanced issue with some miscellaneous coworker who had nothing to do with whatever they were doing had their entire dream just crushed with some HR nonsense. I have people, I want to be a scientist. I have a friend that went to school to be a whole geologist. How is it that you put all that effort, all those years into college to do all the science stuff you need to get your master's, to start getting to become a doctor in your field of study, to then tell me you still gotta work 3 jobs, one being your career, The other two being two different retail jobs to try to sustain yourself. How the does that make sense? Back then, you could have just been a simple cashier at a retail store, and that was called an honest living. That's not the case anymore. That's literally bottom of the barrel, and it sucks. And yeah, I will bash older generations and saying it wasn't as easy back then, okay? For whatever reason, the older generation doesn't understand the concept of stepping in someone else's shoes, to be honest, because they expect us to step in theirs. Grow the up and think about how it was for your age. How the do you think it is for me? Make that make sense.
So, yeah, everything that you guys said I've experienced, but I am in a very unique position right now. That's why I wanted to go last. Because I actually did find an internship that does all those things you guys are saying that companies should do, but it's with a small business, not a corporation, which I understood that and why I didn't pursue internships from big corporations. Some might say, oh, you're being lazy because they're more competitive. Because I just didn't see because I've seen people do those internships. Not pretty. They get pretty selfish. And then I understand because they're looking out for themselves. So that's what they're being taught. But I didn't want that. So I looked for something where I could actually help people in what I do, even if it is only an internship, right? And I could learn and grow as an individual. So what you guys are talking about fundamentally is the value of a degree is dwindling. Because if you really think about it, with the introduction of more and more and more technology, more and more convenience, there is a push for people to be less skillful and more reliant on those things, especially in school. We've seen it. AI is probably the best one, right? So companies are starting to realize, like, hey, they're coming out with a degree. They don't know nothing. Like, they can't work from that degree. So that's why they ask for experience, right? But hang on, and I'm not advocating for them, right? So this just comes to show, like, why get a degree, right? And I'm the same as Manny. I got a bachelor's degree 2017. High school diploma 2017, bachelor's degree in 2023, right? Bars. And then it was an integrated business as well, because I didn't want to specialize, because I think me and Manny both knew that if we specialize, we'd be cooked. Unless Joseph was just talking about it. His friend specialized in being a geologist, and he's cooked because geologists don't make money. Knowledge does not equal money. Just because you have a bunch of knowledge in how to do a backflip or how to flip a coin really well doesn't mean that's what people value in the marketplace, right? It's just the truth. Like, I'm not even trying to go, like, downplay, like, the degree of a geologist, but it's just the truth, right? You don't always, just because you specialize in something doesn't mean you're going to make money from it. It just depends. Things change. Marketplace changes. That's why it's better to be malleable, better to be able to adapt. That's why people have multiple doctorates, which I think is crazy, but, more power to you. But when it comes to jobs looking for experience, and Joseph, you didn't even mention it, but Joseph experienced this with cybersecurity. He went to go get the degree for cybersecurity, then couldn't get a job because they wanted experience. And it comes to show that it would have been better for him to just use that time to learn by himself, do his own projects, and they would have appreciated that more than what his education was on cybersecurity. Because they see that, okay, this guy can already do it. Let's bring him in. They'd rather you that than have a diploma. Because when a company is looking for a person to hire, it's always based on what you did in the past, no matter what. Because it very rarely, are in very specific situations, can they only test what you can do now. A good example would be like an athlete, right? They'd be, okay, what can you do right now, right? But when it comes to jobs, they don't want you to do that because you're going to make them lose money. So they're going based off your prior experience. So that's where what you did and who you did it for and how much and what are the results of what you did and who you did it for. That's what they're looking at. But not for every single aspect of a career. You can't always do that. At least as an individual person, right? It's very difficult. So that comes with what Manny was saying, that they want to squeeze every drop of OJ out of you, buddy. Whoa. OJ out of you, brother, is because, like he said, they want to get the most amount of work for the least amount of money because they're a business, right? But eventually, they're going to have to realize that if you're not putting the time into your people, if you're not growing people in your company, they're going to leave. Because there are companies that are doing that. They're not big corporations. Because the thing is, people gravitate more towards smaller businesses because, like Joseph was saying, You're not just a number. You're an actual person. Because after a certain amount of people in your company, you can't know everybody. And when you're talking about the Walmarts, the Targets, the Home Depots, the Lowe's, all those people, the company is way too big for you to know every person. It's just not possible. So at that point, that's when they use convenience tools such as AI to look for keywords and specific criteria that they want people to meet. And they don't always get the best person because it's basically a Russian roulette of like who has the best words in their resume. And at that point, it's not about what you did or what you did before. It's more like how well can you write your resume to get the AI to notice. And when it comes to living wages, like Joseph was saying, you guys were talking about the old generation, right? Like they don't understand or whatever. It's true. You can't, pensions don't exist. They don't exist anymore. I'll be lucky if I get to see my Social Security. At this point, in most places, this is just my opinion. I'm not basing this off factor statistics. This is my experience of what I've seen, right? Don't come at me. You can fact check me if you want. I don't care. That's fine. If you're not making $100,000 a year, it's very difficult to own anything in this country. You working at Walmart or you working at a grocery store is barely enough money for you to live. And that's working 40 hours a week if the company gives you that. So it's not like Joseph was saying, it's not an honest living anymore. You can't just stay in a job, not a career, a job 40 years and expect to actually live your life. You're a slave. That's why there's been more push to like influencers and like entrepreneurship. That's why we're doing this podcast. That's why you might be listening, right? For real. And it's just like, you got to understand that it's so much more difficult for a person coming out of college to own a house. Like, if someone tells me they own a house at my age, either you're living well above your means or you got it. You're making at least $100K a year. Like you're in a decent job and it's a very steady, consistent job and it's a career.
Or
is it something that you want to do?
Or
probably not.
Or you and your significant other make a good amount so that way you two can have that together. Because I just want to add that in there. If you're our age, because I know of people that they have a house, and it's because them two together make that income.
But that's a different conversation because back in the day,
of course,
a man,
no.
And this is my viewpoint.
Does it
have to be
man,
like this?
The single person back in the day could afford it by themselves.
Not even that, brother. Not even that. I'm talking about traditional families, right? A man could go work and a woman could stay at the house and take care of the kids. Now, if they're both working, who's taking care of the kids? What if they live in a place where there's no family? You got to leave them with other people. That's not how you raise children. That's not how you want to raise children, ideally. So that comes with a whole different issue. Like that's the breaking of the family. That makes it very difficult to raise children that way. If both of y'all are working 40 hours a week, you just got to hope that you working while they're in school.
Or you work from home.
Which, again, that's a job. That's not a career, mostly. If you're working right nowadays, if you got a career working from your house, that's a good career.
More power to you.
More power to you. That's probably ideal for most people at this point, especially like I'm assuming women, right? Because like even though you don't have to be the one to stay at home, obviously, most women would prefer that, right? Those are the ones I know. Prefer stay at home work and to be able to still take care of the kids, right? Or just maybe that's just what they like. Who knows, right? Just statistically, from what I understand, that women tend to lean more towards jobs like that. But it's just like nowadays, it's just not the same. You can't do what the things that worked before don't work now. It's not gonna work. Like you're not gonna be able to make nothing shake. You're gonna be, unless you're like very strict, and even then, it's just like I have to basically count pennies for 20 years, 30 years of my life to not even get any of the benefits from it. You're crazy. I'd rather roll the dice and take a risk and like Joseph was saying and bet on myself, on my value that I could provide and not what somebody else can maybe possibly give me if I beg enough. That's why I don't base off, like right now at this point, like I'm moving away from gaining money for my time and gaining money for my value, right? Benefits from my time? No. Benefits from my value? Yes. Because time is the most precious thing you got. Now, it's way more precious than money. And most people know that, especially if you're at a certain age and you feel like you've gone through life and you haven't done enough, which you shouldn't think like that. Everybody moves at their own pace. That's when you start to really realize how important time is. Usually when it's too late. But hopefully with this video and you're young enough, you realize it yourself right now. Time is more important than money. Way more. You can't get time back. Money, you can make it, lose it, doesn't matter. You can always get more back. It doesn't matter. It's just a vehicle to success. Sometimes you don't even need it to be successful, right?
Aside from cybersecurity or just tech in general, Obviously, out of all the industries out there, when it comes down to tech, the amount of money that goes into technology nowadays will never stop. It will only grow. And you get a lot of tech companies that's not just necessarily in need of cybersecurity, but just tech in general, where they say they are hiring, no matter how big or small. They say that they are hiring, and without a doubt, if I can put out as many applications as I've had, so can anyone else. And doing the math just to say, like a company is getting literally hundreds of thousands of applicants for one particular position, and they say, oh, we're hiring, we're hiring. The competitive nature of them really wanting only one person, and somehow the masses have to be that one person. To then you end up with the job, and that job isn't just a job. You're slugging your out, because that has to be a job for at least 10, 20 people, and it's put on your shoulders. Make that make sense. That has been my experience when it comes down to trying to get a job in the tech industry. And it sucks, without a doubt. And going off of, yes, the greatest opportunity now is just me. All the extra stuff that I learned while in school, and now that I have, well, organizing my life schedule so I can continue learning. Because it sucks to do that, yes, I'm doing it. But it takes a lot of time, effort, and sacrifice. And it sucks with the state of the economy, the job market, schools, whatever you want to call it, the world, where you really have to sacrifice time, which is the most valuable thing, as Frank said. You have to sacrifice sleep, which is something I really want. You have to sacrifice so much while being slaved and tethered to working whatever job you need, whatever your cash flow is, to then put forth the effort to grind your own out. It's crazy. And even though, like, I'm trying to do it now, and there are people that, that I know that are ahead of me that are doing it, and a testament to an individual's character for doing it on their own, going through all that. But at the same time,
Why go through all that?
oh, yeah. Because, like, you could praise the person, oh, they did it. But you're just looking at the surface. No one sees the absolute sheer breakage of an individual as they get to that point. And for certain people, when they do get to that point, when they get to their achievement, you could ask yourself, at what cost?
Facts.
So I wanted to jump in because there's a lot of negative that we're talking about.
I was just about to
And,
do that.
We're talking about obviously a heavy topic when it comes to post graduation, whether it be you're the person that came out of high school and just wanted to go straight to a career or a job, or you're that person that came out of college and now you're trying to get that career, and then with having a job and then hoping to advance in that world. We're talking very negatively about it. We're talking very negatively about it, and it is it's a very negative subject. But there are some lights to it. Obviously, take Frank as an example. Frank was able to step outside the norm of those internships and find something that helped him with, harping in on his skills in terms of what he's doing his internship for. And that honing in on those skills is allowing him the opportunity to possibly find a career job with all the lessons that he's learned. There are opportunities out there that would allow you to gain knowledge. When we say knowledge doesn't always make you money, yes, knowledge is good. We're not trying to say be stupid.
No,
Because
school is
guess
very
what?
important.
Because guess what?
Learning, I should say.
And if you believe this, you are not that one in a million that's going to get their big break because somebody found you on the street and you happen to do something that's trendy.
Oh,
Let me tell
man.
you something.
Yeah,
That's
a fact.
not the way you should live your life on a whim. It obviously involves a lot of work when it comes to finding a career after college or post graduation. What we are trying to explain to the world and to you, the viewer, our message is that yes, it is hard after, but it doesn't mean that you are not able to do it. Just know where, what path takes you where, and do your research. Don't fall victim to this is going to get you here if you have these skills. This is going to get you, we're going to teach you these skills so that way that you could go on and do bigger things. Do your research and be confident in what you are doing, because that's the things that's going to lead you into a career. The skills outweigh a lot of things, but you yourself outweighs them all, because when you're trying to build that foundation after, you have to know what type of foundation you want to build. Me, myself, and you take myself as an example, I want to find something in the business world that can help me grow. Do I want to stay with one company for the rest of my life? I wouldn't mind. As long as it's willing to provide me the opportunity to grow and grow with the company, then for sure. But don't be one track minded on you found one thing and you should stay with that one thing forever. Yeah, just because then you're just there because.
That at this point you're being lazy.
Yes. That's why we're trying to
You're being scared.
harp in on the fact that there's a difference between being lazy and actually trying to develop skills and move on to a better place in your life for what you want to go for. It is we're just also harping in on the fact that it is very hard nowadays, and that maybe the older generation should look at our generation and go, "Hey, I know it's hard, but it can be done." You know what I'm saying?
People have done it, right?
People have done it, and I look forward to where my career is going because of
Yep.
the multiple avenues I have opened up for myself, and I hope and pray that one of those avenues opens up and leads me towards what I'm looking for. We're not saying it's impossible. We're not trying to downplay it. We're just trying to say it is hard, and we're trying to give you that perspective of there are people out there that know it's hard, and we are some of those people. Just saying.
I do gotta say this. I agree with everything you said, right? And it goes with, like, I really like the fact of, like, you should really invest in yourself, because Joseph was saying it already. Like, you're your best investment. Because when we say career, what does that actually mean? Because if you really think about it, your career is gonna be a big chunk of your life. So why would you spend it doing something you don't want to do? Stop worrying about how much money you're gonna make. Stop worrying about what's the best thing you could possibly do. Think about what you want to do, where you could provide the best value for somebody based off of your skills, what you like, and what you're best at, and do that. And then you plan according to that. You're going to be way happier that way. Not worry about how I need to make this certain amount of money. No, it's about what do I like to do? How can I convert what I'm good at, what I like to do, into something that everybody else would want or like would get value from, where I could help people. And then the money will come after that, right? So it's like when you spend your time, it's not about school. Like I said, that's why instead of school, I switched it to learning, because it's not about you being in school. It's not about it, and it's about you learning. You growing yourself. I'm stuck on this definition of work. Work means to improve. Work should not be lifeless and terrible. That's not what work is. Work is constantly improving, getting better, growing, facing difficulties and overcoming them. And when you talk about building yourself up, like I'm telling you, read, because the more you read, the more you'll understand. The more you read, the more you'll see trends. The more you read, the more you'll know about yourself. And like Manny was saying, don't just do things because other people tell you to do it. I had that problem. I'm sure like maybe they had that problem too, but specifically me, I know I had that problem. I just did whatever somebody else told me. Thank God, somewhere along that way, I realized maybe I shouldn't do that and make my own decisions. And I did it. And I never looked back. I'm doing this podcast. Old Frank would have never done this podcast. That's for sure. No, would have never done it. I'm like, I can't do that. I'm Frank. I can't do that. Now look at me now. I'm doing it. It's true. I'm doing things I would have never thought I was going to do. I thought I was going to be a baseball player. Yeah. That's funny.
That's just how you said, I'm Frank.
Yeah, I'm Frank. Like, I like, that's what I thought. I thought I couldn't do it. But then I actually tried it. I'm like, hey, it's working out so far. Not like the greatest, but hey, it's moving up. Thanks to you guys. But you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, I realized like how important it is to work on yourself and like not really to be so worried about all the other stuff. That's just noise. That's just noise. Just get better, have fun, like grow yourself, be a good person, help people. Don't worry about how much money can I get out of this person? How can I help this person? I will guarantee you they'll be throwing whatever you like. Hey, this guy's a great guy. Business comes. Like that's how you do business, bro. You just help people. Don't worry about how much money you'll get from people. That's what it is. That's the foundation of business. Doing something that helps other people. Doing something that other people want. Or making something that does those things as well. It's that simple. It's hard, but it's simple.
As I've said, the greatest investment, the greatest foundation is yourself. And while you yourself are your greatest strength, you could also be your greatest weakness. And I say that in the sense of you will have doubt. You will want to give up. I'm telling you not to. Because I've been through stuff as a person that's been homeless twice. It sucks, but I'm still kicking it. I'm still squaring up. And I'm not giving up until I die, to be honest. So don't necessarily think the impossible is impossible. Whatever impossibility you think you're facing, trust and believe there is always the possibility that you will surpass it.
I want you to let us know. Are you one of those people coming straight out of high school or college and are finding it very hard to find a career or even a job? You know where you could do that? You could join the Discord and let us know. We're all there. I want you to follow us on YouTube. I want you to follow us on Spotify. Follow us on Instagram to keep up to date with all of us. This has been the Triple Take. I'm Manny.
I'm Frank.
Joseph.
Never give up. Peace.